Welcome back to Second Take, where we talk about reclaiming your health, taking back your power, and rewriting your story. So, if you've been with me so far, you've learned a little bit about my own health challenges and how they culminated in a hysterectomy, partial hysterectomy at that time, and my understanding that the medical system didn't have the knowledge that I needed to reclaim my own health. So, I started studying on my own. So, one of the first things that I realized, which was kind of disturbing, was that the water that I was drinking every day, which was just the plain old tap water, that one, I was chronically dehydrated. Wasn't sure how that was possible because I did drink water every day. But I also drank a lot of soda, drank a lot of iced tea, drank a hell of a lot of beer, a lot, drank wine, drank a lot of things. But I was chronically dehydrated. On top of being chronically dehydrated, I soon found out that I was also poisoning myself with that tap water. Great. So at the time we were living in Syracuse, New York, and I found out that the Syracuse water not only had fluoride in it, which was bad enough, but it also had bromide, which was a problem because it was causing and contributing to thyroid disorder. I also had uranium in my blood from drinking the water. That's a problem considering it's radioactive. So I had a lot of issues, and I found out that those issues that were stemming from my drinking water were hugely problematic for my body. Around about the same time, I found out that I have a gene SNP, a gene, sorry about that. I have a gene called the MTHFR. Some of you might be familiar with this gene. The MTHFR gene is basically means that you have problems with detox. So for me, my particular body, being in an environment that is highly toxic is going to cause problems for my body because my body has a hard time processing toxins. So this toxic water that I was drinking day in and day out was a huge problem. So I started to learn more and more about dehydration and chronic dehydration and what that means for us. And many of us know something, at least a little bit, about the importance of water and how important it is to drink water. But we don't often understand how detrimental it is if we're not getting the right water and if we're not getting it in the right quantities. So for me, I looked around at all different water systems and trying to figure out something that would work. And I settled on the Berkey water filter, which some of you may be familiar with, which at the time I understood it was going to be a better option than most of the things on the market. And as I was trying to make sure that I was drinking enough water, I started to understand that this chronic dehydration that I had was really the underlying cause of some of the issues that I was experiencing. So as I increased my water and started to increase my electrolytes, I started recognizing things like my blood pressure was coming down. My ability to generate heat. One of the major symptoms I have with hypothyroid was that my hands and feet were always incredibly cold. And that started changing little by little. I had read a few books about the importance of being hydrated and went back to even nursing textbooks and started understanding that this was one of the chronic issues that I had, was that my electrolyte balance was not good. My mineral balance was not good. And understanding that this chronic dehydration was really part and parcel of some of the reason for some of the symptoms that I was having. So that was the first thing that I changed was drinking water. Like I said, I was using a Berkey water filter with the fluoride filters as well. And just removing the fluoride from my water was hugely helpful. The other thing I started to understand was that bromide, which is one of the things that they add to bread here in the US of A, actually causes problems with your ability to absorb and use iodine. So fluoride and bromide combined will kick out the receptor sites for iodine. Why is that important? Because iodine is necessary for your thyroid to function. So, for many of us that are diagnosed as hypothyroid, what's really happening is that our body is not able to absorb the iodine that we need for our thyroid to function appropriately. So, it's really not that our thyroid's not functioning, it's that our thyroid doesn't have the base resource that it needs to function. Wow. Because at the end of the day, that's a quick fix. So instead of needing thyroid medication, I really just needed proper nutrition. And being able to remove the fluoride from the water was part of understanding that and resolving that issue. So, right about the same time that I start figuring out this water issue and start to feel a little bit better, I was much more clear headed. My thyroid started to actually function a little bit better, but I was still on thyroid medication at that point. As these things start to change, I started to learn more and more about what was really going on with our food system and what was really going on with the many chronic illnesses that we see day in and day out. I remember having a conversation with my doctor about the pre-diabetic diagnosis because, again, at this point I'm on metformin, and I asked, what can I do myself with my food, with my day-to-day diet to stop myself from becoming a diabetic? And the answer was there's nothing you can do. That once your pancreas starts to malfunction, you're going to be a diabetic no matter what. There's really nothing you can do to stop that. Well, I didn't like hearing that. Turned out that wasn't true, but that's what I was told by a physician. If you have not yet figured out your water situation, if you're one of the many Americans or anyone else for that matter who is not drinking water, who is drinking other things all day long, whether it be Crystal Light or Gatorade or iced tea or coffee or whatever it is that you're drinking, alcoholic or not, no matter what it is that you're drinking, if your intake of water is not sufficient for your body, understand that it is causing problems. Whether or not you recognize it, it is causing problems for you. So if you question how good or bad your water is and think that though you're drinking tap water, it's actually sufficient, or because you're drinking well water, you're okay, I encourage you to get a water test done, or to, if you're on city or county water, to look up your water resource and look at your water reports because it'll tell you what's actually in your water. So if you're not sure what's in your local water supply, I encourage you to utilize the following resource. You can go to www.ewg.org/tapwater, and that will enable you to review the contaminants in your local water supply. So you can actually put in where it is that you live, and it'll show you your local water supply, which is hugely helpful to understand what it is that your filter needs to take out of your water. So for those of you that are using reverse osmosis, one of the things that we find with reverse osmosis is that that can strip out everything from your water, including the minerals that your body actually needs to function. So your electrolyte balance becomes altered. So if you are somebody who's using reverse osmosis, it is important that you look into trace minerals to make sure that your minerals are appropriate. And some people will say you can take a pinch of a quality sea salt and use that in your water because that'll replace some of those trace minerals. The contaminants that you find in your local water supply, that's what you need to make sure is being adequately removed from your water to ensure that you are properly hydrated. Because for so many of us, that is the crux and the root cause of many of our issues, that once we resolve just that one little small piece, so many other things will take care of themselves. So remember, your body really wants to be healthy and it's an amazing machine, but we have to give it the resources that it needs to be healthy. So if you haven't yet taken care of your own water supply, I encourage you to do that. That is really the first step. And once you do that, then there's more to come on further steps later. So take care of your own water if you haven't done so already. Make sure that you've got a clean water supply, that you are drinking enough water. There are many who say that you need half your weight in ounces of water per day. And for those of you who say there's no way I can drink that much water, just try starting with a couple glasses and start trying to increase that you have a glass an hour after a meal or whatever. give yourself the ability to start building up your hydration and see how it lets you feel, see how it makes you feel. See if you feel stronger, if you feel more clarity of mind, if you feel like your thyroid issues or your whatever issues start to take a little bit of a turn for the better. So I encourage you to do that if you haven't done so already. So thanks for this episode here talking about the filtration of your water and making sure that you have an adequate water supply for your body. Remember, there's nobody coming to save us. So this one small step can help you start the beginning period of helping yourself. So thanks so much. And if you are looking to get to the next step of how to help yourself, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.